You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
Oh, hold on.
Big
Oh,
guy.
stop it.
Is that your solution every
Hold it. No, sit down. Sit down.
It was a heated exchange today on Capitol Hill between Senator Markwayne Mullin and Teamster boss Sean O'Brien. This happened during a Senate committee hearing on the condition of American workers.
And joining us live right now is Senator Mullin. Senator, appreciate you taking the time to talk with us this afternoon. Let's get right into it here. What exactly happened today, and what is this feud between you two all about?
Well, last summer, him and I had a conversation in a hearing, and it got pretty heated at that time because the guy's a thug. I mean, he's an absolute thug. He said he wanted to bring back the mobster mentality to the Teamsters. He's been in trouble multiple times with the law for harassment. He's been expelled from the Teamsters before for harassing own members. And after our hearing last time, he kept tweeting at me. He kept going 5 or 6 times. His last tweet, though, he said I was a clown and a fraud, and that I was despicable and all this stuff. But then he said, you know where to find me anytime, any place, cowboy. Well, I responded back to him at the time and challenged him to an MMA fight for charity, September 30th. He never responded to me. Well, coming back into this, the conversation got heated again. I read his tweet to him, and he called me out and said, anytime, any place. And listen, from Oklahoma, being raised in Oklahoma all life, you don't do that. You don't go run off the mouth unless you expect to be called to the carpet. And I did that. I don't think he was wanting to receive that because he's just not used to being called out. I think the guy's really tough on a keyboard, but that's about it.
And Senator, help us understand here. So during this exchange, at one point, you said, we can finish it here. And then you stood up. So what exactly did you mean by that? And were you planning to do something?
Absolutely. There was no problem with that. He was an adult. I was an adult. We both agreed to it. In the Senate, that's not uncommon. Member Andrew Jackson had 9 duels, and when he was president, and finished all 9 of them. He also knocked a guy out in a dinner at the White House. There's been multiple duels and multiple canings that's taken place in the Senate. At sometimes, every now and then, you just need to be called out on it. And this guy, he's a thug, and he wanted to continue to do what he said he was going to do. He just didn't expect I'd call him out on it. And absolutely, if we were able to finish it, we would have finished it.
Well, Senator, we tell our kids so often, do not resort to violence. You are one of the most powerful men in the country challenging someone that you disagree with to a fight at the U.S. Senate. How do you justify that?
Well, fights happen. You know, boys are boys. I raised 6 kids. I got 3 boys, 3 girls, and every now and then they're going to get in a fight. They're going to get in a fight at home too. And it's not something we encourage, but it's going to happen. And I used to fight professionally, so I'm not looking for a fight. I'm not mad at the guy. He just said something that he needed to be answered for. What was I supposed to do? Sit there and ignore it? That's not how I am. That's not how I raise my kids. You got to be responsible for your words. And if you're going to say it, then you need to own it. And that's what I tell my kids all the time. If you're going to do something, then you need to own it, regardless if it's a good success or if it's a mistake. Own it. And that's all I was doing. I was making him own his words.
Well, Senator Bernie Sanders broke up the exchange, and he said Americans already have enough contempt for Congress. Do you agree with that? And if so, how do you change that?
Well, this had nothing to do with Congress. This has to do with 2 adults. And if this guy wants to have a cup of coffee afterwards, that's fine. I fought guys professionally in the cage before that I'm friends with. I competed in wrestling and jiu-jitsu my whole life. And it's no hard feelings. It's just sometimes things happen. And at the end of it, we can shake hands like adults and we can settle our differences at that point. If the guy truly wants to sit down and have a cup of coffee, let's talk about our differences here. But I'm not going to allow him to do what he did. He's a bully, and he continues to bully. What do you expect? A guy that says he wants to bring back the mob mentality, we're supposed to ignore that. A guy that says anytime, any place, I'm supposed to ignore that. That's not how I was raised, and that's not what we do in Oklahoma.
Senator O'Brien called you an embarrassment to Oklahoma during the exchange. A lot of people online are obviously talking about this. It's getting national attention. What do you have to say about what happened there?
It happened. I didn't start it. I absolutely did not start it. I didn't go after him. But at the end of the day, I don't think anything's going to come out about it. But I bet you I bet you he learned a lesson not to run out the mouth, at least towards me. He may be able to do it to other people, but not towards me anymore.
Senator Markwayne Mullin, we sure do appreciate your time. And you said, you know, he invited you to coffee, that you're up for that. So keep us posted on that. And perhaps you guys will be able to resolve this.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me on.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.